so 80% chance this will be returned. Here comes Nykeem Johnson from the 4. Out across the 25. And decent starting field position for the 50-year senior, Rex Culpepper, who's overcome cancer. He's had a heck of a journey, and now he's the starting quarterback. It's his second career start. Threw a couple of touchdowns and a loss to Boston College 3 seasons ago.
Well, Evan, we talked about it right at the top. They must protect them. That's been the Achilles heel for this offensive line. Let's look early to see if Liberty is going to bring pressure to not let him get comfortable.
Some of the best hair in the ACC as well. He hasn't cut it since he was cancer-free June of 2018. First play from scrimmage is Sean Tucker up the middle out to the 37-yard line. Let's take a look at today's impact players, brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. What you got,
Taj Harris is a deep threat. I'm sure Culpepper will go to him. Anthony Butler will call his name a lot on that Liberty defense. He has to come up and make tackles.
Aaron Pierre made the stop that time. Tucker sets up a 3rd and 2.
That's been the problem for them. They've been in 3rd and long a lot. Today, they have been methodical in approaching and attacking this Liberty defense early on.
There's some question about whether Tucker would be available, but he's obviously available. First throw for Culpepper. He's going long. Deep down the sideline for Harris, but it's broken up. Marcus Haskins in the coverage for Liberty.
Really good coverage. They're going to test you. A couple of times a game, they're going to go deep. But I like what the defensive backs are doing there. Emmanuel Dabney there, and then Haskins coming over the top from the safety position. I thought for sure they had so much success in 1st and 2nd down with the run game that they were going to stick with that on a shorter throw.
Well, Flame special teams were a huge story last week. Demario Douglas leading the nation by 21 yards per punt return, but this one is not returnable off the foot of Cooney. And Nolan Cooney with a solid punt at the 8-yard lines, where Liberty will start after a 52-yard rocket from Cooney.
The success of this offense for Syracuse has been deep balls and deep threats. The thing with Liberty is that they can get you both ways. They will take the ball and methodically march down the field, and Malik Willis, they want him to get a better completion percentage, but what he does is he makes up with it with his legs.
He completed 73% of his passes in Liberty's first couple of ball games, then got hurt, missed game number 3 against North Alabama. Last week, just 11 of 29 in the air, but he's an explosive runner. Willis throws to the right and completes it to the sideline. Garrett Williams forces Kevin Shaw out of bounds. It'll be 2nd. Now let's take a look at the impact players for the Liberty offense and Syracuse defense, also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer.
I really like watching tape of Liberty and DJ Stubbs. He's all over the field. He'll run the ball. He's even tried to throw it a few times, but he is going to make plays in the passing game. And Michael Jones, the linebacker for Syracuse.
After a 7-yard gain on 1st down, Willis gives it to Peyton Pickett, and he will creep toward the 15-yard line, setting up 3rd down and short. Good news for Syracuse, Jeff Canton-Arcou is available today. Dino Babers said he had an owie, but he's good to go.
That sounds like a girl day. An owie. A little bit more than that. He was nicked up, but the biggest thing is having him back is really good for this defense that has struggled some over the last couple of weeks.
Canton-Arcou, number 2 in the ACC in solo tackles per ball game. Forced a fumble last week and also had a 29-yard scoop and score for a touchdown against the Blue Devils. On 3rd and short, Willis set his feet and threw a rifle, but it was incomplete.
And that's what he sometimes will do. When you throw late across the middle, you can get in trouble. This is where I thought he was going to get outside. He had good protection. They're picking up everything well inside. He gets over there. Now, this is one where you just take off and go get the 1st down. If you're Syracuse, you got to say, look, we get after balls in the secondary. That's one they should have had.
Intended for C.J. Daniels.
Amon Greenwood with the potential interception. Willis has to run that ball and not throw it back in the middle like that.
Aiden Alvis, left-footed kicker, near the sideline, and Johnson lets it bounce. It'll be spotted right around the Syracuse 39-yard line, 46-yard kick. Couple of 3-and-outs for the Orange and Flames offenses to start the game. Liberty has had an explosive offense this year, though, led by Malik Willis. Demario Douglas was huge last week. No more Tommy DeVito. It's Rex.
And she said he actually started his treatments down at Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, but then they were able to work in tandem with the doctors up here at Upstate Hospital right on campus. So he was able to go through his cancer treatments while doing all of this. And instead of putting a port in his chest like they normally do with chemotherapy patients, they put a PICC line surgery in his opposite of his throwing arm. So he was able to go to practice and do everything that he normally could. It's truly an inspirational story having the Syracuse community down here supporting him. His mom said he had a home, a team, a purpose, and people that tremendously cared about him here in Syracuse.
Great stuff, Abby. In the second throw of the game, Culpepper's first completion. The tight end Aaron Hackett takes it across midfield for the Syracuse first down. Rex Culpepper, in the midst of his chemo, actually played in the spring game and threw a touchdown pass back in the spring of 2018 as flags fly. Jerry Magallanes, our referee today.
Full start. Offense, number 3. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's against Taj Harris, the receiver. Now, you can tell Syracuse really wants to go fast on this series, and we'll see that from Liberty as well. Both of these coaches have been well-versed in the tempo offenses that you now see these days.
13-yard completion for Aaron Hackett, just his third catch of the season. Caught 23 balls and 6 touchdowns a year ago. And there's another false start penalty, this time the left guard. I think they got the Rhino.
Full start offense, number 63. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Before another penalty, let's quickly get to the Ford keys to the game. Brought to you by your local Ford dealer. What you counting on today, Charles?
Well, if I'm Liberty or Syracuse, look at this. Liberty run, not run, Forrest run. They run the football because this team, Syracuse, hadn't stopped the run. And the other side, if you're Syracuse, protect the quarterback or quarterbacks. We may see more than one.
No one on the Syracuse roster other than Culpepper has thrown a pass. There's Tucker escaping, but not getting free forever. Elijah James perseveres, brings him down to the backfield. A loss of 2.
You know, it's been a feast or famine kind of offense for Syracuse. You see them sometimes, they've got 40, 50-yard deep throws, making plays, and then they have what we just saw. 2 penalties back-to-back. And whenever you do that offensively, it does not get you on schedule. You got to stay on schedule. You can't have 2nd and 20.
Or 2nd and 22. This is the case right here for Culpepper. Takes the handoff, has time, and completes the pass to Nykeem Johnson. This will create a 3rd and 10. Pickup of about 12. Javon Scruggs makes the stop.
Really nice job by Nykeem Johnson of running that dig route, getting us out. Watch, he comes back in. You got an outside receiver. You have him in there. Good passing. And Rex Culpepper won't do this. When you watch him on tape, he'll throw some strikes in the passing window.
1 touchdown for Nykeem Johnson this year. On 3rd and 10, Culpepper zips it in there. It's going to be shy of the first down to Anthony Quealy. And an interesting decision here, probably 4-down territory, spotted at the 35-yard line.
Protection up front is what you got to see. You have a clean target, nice catch right there, even though it's contested by the defense. And I think they're going to go for it.
Orange are just 1 for 7 on 4th down so far this season. Nearly got the defensive end to jump.
That cadence, that hard count, he knows that as a veteran quarterback in the program, how to do that.
Culpepper in the shotgun, standing at the 40. Orange need the 33. Rex across the middle, completes it inside the 30. For the Orange first down, it's Quealy again, a 2nd catch in a row.
Quealy has been coming on over the last few weeks, and right here, Culpepper knows where it is. Right there, throw the strike in that window again. He's comfortable with Quealy and throwing that particular route.
Confidence building drive here for the 50-year senior Culpepper. defense has played very well so far this year, but a crease for Tucker, and he'll gallop inside the 20 before Pierre and Haskins bring him down. Another first down for the Orange, and that's not good news. Tucker hobbling off.
Blocking here is going to be outstanding. Look at this hole open up right there. You got guys walled off, and then you're able to just get through that alley. I could run through that with this bad knee, but Tucker shows you the ability to hit the hole effectively. He had to come off a little bit loose sores from last week.
Tucker picks up 11. Mackenzie Pierre, and then he throws into the end zone. That's an Orange touchdown. Harris gets Syracuse on the board.
The ball fake got everything coming up, Evan, and it allowed you to have a one-on-one situation against these defensive backs, which you want to be in with Taj Harris. Rich Culpepper was really efficient on that drive, even though they got behind the chain.
Andre Schmidt to tack on the extra point for Syracuse, who's going to get on the board first here today. 6.5 minutes into the opening quarter, 7-0 Orange. On Culpepper, 17-yarder to Harris.
Javon Scruggs, he's the safety. You've got 1 and 2 over there, and what they're going to do is bring him up with the play fake, and then right behind it, he's able to find Taj Harris, who has that the defensive back has to take the inside away. He can't, and you have no help in the middle because they have to come up and support the run. That was a really nice play. You see it a lot. We call those glance routes in the RPO zone read game. Rex Culpepper effective on that.
Second touchdown pass of the season for Culpepper, and Syracuse, after managing just 16 yards of offense in the first quarter a week ago, marches 61 yards in 9 plays to take the 7-0 lead. Syracuse scoring first for the third time in 5 ball games this year. Touchback, and Malik Willis, after going 3 and out on his first possession, coming up short on 3rd and short, retakes the field.
And I really thought he was going to run the football there. I mean, he had that little space there, and usually when you watch him on tape, he decides, and when he does, Evan, it's hard to stop him now.
Well, when Malik Willis started the season opener for Liberty, it was his first start since the 2016 Georgia 7A state title game. That was for Roswell High School, the final game at the old Georgia Dome before it was demolished. A thrilling state title game that actually went to overtime that day. And Willis throws, and it was bobbled, and it's going to be ruled incomplete, intended for Huntley. Here's the thing about that game, Charles. The opposing quarterback for the other team going against Roswell, Grayson High School, the guy that Syracuse faced last week, Chase Price.
All kind of football things going on there. That's a play right there you got to make. Johnny Huntley has to step up from the tight end position. They're going to look for them a little more with some injuries to the receiver position.
Willis lost that game to Bryce, and Grayson 23-20 in overtime. Huge hole here. Shedro Lewis takes it right past the safety, Hannah, and going the distance. Number 1, Lewis to the house. 75 yards for the Flames.
I talked about it. Run, Liberty, run. Well, this is why. There's not gap integrity, and when you watch them consistently, there are going to be probably 2 or 3 guys that have a chance. That time, nobody has a chance because it's very well blocked on the inside by Thomas Sargent. Look at that. Only man that can make the tackle is the umpire. And he's smart. He moves out the way. Safety has to come up. If you wing like that, you will get beat. And that's a big problem. Rob Hanna has a chance, but he gets frozen, and the running back takes it to the house.
Well, just like that, we're tied at 7 apiece. Alex Barbier boots the extra point through. Longest rush of the season for the Liberty Flames, and a team that has rushed the ball for over 250 yards a game. Shedro Lewis, the sophomore from Florida, 75 yards, 7 all.
Rules are about to be rewritten.
And we saw it there.
And you can tell, I wanted to talk about the offensive lineman, and Thomas Sargent has 40 starts. Remington Watch, the list center, Damian Bounds, Brendan Schindler, explosive. We didn't get a chance to even really spend much time on those guys.
See what Tony White does with his Syracuse defense in a little bit, but now it's the Orange's turn again. Each team went 3 and out. Each team marched down for a quick score. We haven't even played half a quarter yet. Alex Barbier, the Penn State transfer. Again, he hasn't kicked many touchbacks this season. So here comes Nykeem Johnson. And he's got pretty good speed, too, bursting up the middle across the 35, and it was Barbier that made the tackle. The kicker with a pretty nice form right there.
It's very nice, because I really thought the way Johnson was running, he was picking up steam. Very good blocking here by Syracuse. And because of that, look at that.
10-yard penalty. First down.
That was a nice tackle. And no wonder it was such a big hole because of the holding. But Johnson was picking up steam.
The holding called on Aaron Hackett, and that's going to nullify what was a really nice return. It's going to spot Syracuse back inside its own 20. Rex Culpepper. Good to see Sean Tucker, who hobbled off before the touchdown last drive, back out there. And Culpepper, today's his 25th career game. He's played on the kick return team and is an up man. He played tight end for a bit. Here's the freshman Tucker. Breaks one tackle and takes it to the 25 before he's ushered out of bounds by Aaron Pierre, who's been in the mix of a bunch of tackles so far in the first quarter.
Right side of that offensive line with really nice blocks. And Tucker is a strong young man, really weight room savvy. You can see the strong legs on that breaking tackles.
Second down. Oh, that was thrown ahead of Harris, and his deflection may have saved the interception.
Well, that's why he's looking back at Culpepper, because he's throwing it too far over the middle of the field, and it is. It was actually going to hit the defensive back right there, Javon Scruggs. And fortunately for them, Harris just says, hey, I'm going to go make a play on it.
Orange just 21% on third down through the first 4 games, 13 of 60. They were 2 of 12 last week. They're 0 for 2 so far today. On third and short, that's a conversion as Harris brings it in at the 34.
This is what they have to be, though. You can see if they have third and short like this, those slant routes are so hard to defend, and the secondary has to respect the speed of Syracuse now that they put you on their heels. These are plays that Rex Culpepper is making consistently now.
On third and 3, the pass goes for 8. Tucker looking for some daylight. He'll spin out across the 35, picks up 1.
Tucker was trying to get out of the arms of, I think it was Trayshawn Clark, Elijah James, and he couldn't get loose.
It's a pretty good defensive front for Liberty. And the first Latvian ever to play college football out there, Rusins. There's a nice spiral down the sideline, a parabola dropping into Queeley's breadbasket. First down, Syracuse.
They will push you deep, and if you're not ready as a defensive back, the fake gets everybody sucked up, and then he throws a bang to Queeley. He and Queeley have been working together because they've been consistent on these last 2 drives with some big plays.
32 yards on that toss from Culpepper to Queeley, who's grabbed 3 catches so far. Looking for number 4, but the defense was ready for it. Emmanuel Dabney, the corner on that side of the field, breaks it up.
If Dabney broke a little bit quicker, that might have been pick 6 the other way. The other thing is, we talked to Sterling Gilbert about Culpepper and what he liked. He said, I've had to pare down the offense, but so far it's been good for Culpepper.
7 of 11 so far for Rex. His 12th pass, just out of reach of the other tight end, Luke Benson.
Yeah, that's one where he's saying, I'm going to the flag with the throw where it should be more of a sail, where he takes him to the sideline with the throw, the way Benson was running the route.
3rd and 10 for Culpepper and the Orange. Rex was actually here before Dino. He was a January enrollee when Dino first got the job as head coach, now in his 5th year. One of the 3 guys from that group. They honor the scholarships. He's been here with Dino throughout. And under pressure, the leg hold finally brings him down. Darrell Johnson hanging on to the shoelaces for the sack. His 6th of the season for the Flames.
I was just getting ready to say they hadn't had a lot of pressure on Culpepper, but that time they had 3 rush, drop 8. He had nowhere to go. Have to get rid of the football. Couldn't find anybody, and Darrell Johnson does a nice job of keeping contained and getting to him for the sack.
That's a loss of 17. So that, and they were in position to try a 49-yard field goal with Schmidt, but instead it's Cooney who's out there. The Syracuse punter boots it, and this one's going to bounce. Bounced around the 16. Caroms to the sideline around the 14. And Liberty will start its 3rd possession from the 13-yard line.
You know, Evan, it just looks like every time Syracuse would get something going positively, they work against themselves. And I think that's where Liberty is. You have a road team. You come in and now say, okay, we've evened the score. We really haven't played our best football. We've had only a few plays on offense. Let's see what they do with this one now.
Charles, we got a doubleheader day today for football. Duke, NC State later with Tom, James, and Lindsay. Tomorrow, doubleheader on women's soccer starting from SU Soccer Stadium at 11 a.m. 5th-ranked Duke is in town. And Louisville, Virginia Tech at 2 p.m. on your regional sports network. Check your local listings.
Much better play of the defense there. Michael Jones, with a nice tackle in that play.
Josh Black lost his helmet, so he's going to come off for a play, replaced by Kingsley Jonathan, who's on the bench to start this series. Of course, we got to mention for Syracuse, the heart and soul leader of the defense, Andre Cisco, injured right before the Georgia Tech game, announced this week he's heading to the draft, rehabbing his injury, so no Cisco, and that's a huge loss for the Orange defensively as Pickett takes it out across the 20 to move the chains.
I'll tell you, watching this Liberty offensive line, they will create some space for whoever's playing at the running back position. They come off well, zone, and then they just take guys out. Look at that running lane again, inside, and they're able to run effectively. And what these guys do for Liberty, snap the whistle. They keep going. They keep those feet going till the end, and that's why these running backs have big yardage plays.
Pickett, the transfer from Maine, originally from Arlington, Texas, 5th-year senior. Scored the Flames' first touchdown last week. Pickett again. Pinballs his way out across the 25 to the 28.
Yeah, they're not afraid either, Liberty, to play Joshua Mack, Pickett, or Shedro Lewis. They will play all those guys and they all get a chance. And we haven't really seen Malik Willis have to use his legs so far.
Malik Willis so far 1 for 3. Big play was the 75-yard run by Lewis on the 2nd down play last drive. 2nd down, quick pass on the perimeter. It's Shaw. And this will set up a 3rd and short. It's going to be about 3rd and 1 after the catch by Shaw.
DJ Stubbs is willing to block right there, and that allows Shaw to get going, but not very far.
Liberty to the line of scrimmage quickly. And up the middle, Pickett hanging on to the ball with 2 hands for the first down.
I'll say this, Willis had that hole outside the run. Syracuse sometimes will come down too hard uncontained. Don't be surprised if you watch him and he's going to pull this thing out. They're going to play fake, and if they keep doing that, they're going to put themselves in harm's way. They've hit them on the inside, so you're so worried about taking away inside run that you got to be concerned about the outside run as well.
Got to imagine Hugh Freeze and Ken Austin keeping their eyes on that. There's Willis on the outside, just as you mentioned. Malik breaks a tackle, and he's into Syracuse territory at the 49. Mario Douglas on the perimeter.
So much window dressing. You see he flips it up, fakes it one way. I told you they were going to get to that outside some way, shape, or form. And then Willis became a blocker. That was tough to see because that's one of those plays. Hugh loves those kind of little quick flips right there. Mario Douglas is a special teams nightmare, and he's also that way in open space.
New set of downs. Here's Pickett. Another huge crease. Peyton Pickett inside the 30. Just large chunks right now on the ground for the Flames.
They work the inside, right? They go inside to the body, and then they're starting to come around with a little uppercuts. Watch this. Offensive line, all white jerseys. You see no blue. Pick it, stick it, and go. If you're offensive lineman or tight end, you love when your running back does that because you hold your block, and then they're by you. And all you have to do is just go down the field and help them a little bit more. Syracuse has to stop this run.
22 yards on what you might call the picket fence.
A good one.
Lewis in the backfield alongside Willis. Malik looking deep. Now across the middle, he hits Jerome Jackson. Jackson spun down by Michael Jones. Liberty into the red zone for the first time.
And a couple of guys to go to. You see him fake and pull everything up. And then, okay, I'm going to pick my poison. I've got a tight end right here. Big body I can see. I'll throw that back inside because I know he can snag it.
Liberty into the CPI security red zone. 1st and 10 from the 17. As the Flames seek their first lead on a day when they're looking for win number 1 all time against an ACC opponent. Willis, sidearm sling. Demario Douglas down to the 8.
The one thing Syracuse has done well this year is turn the ball over. If you can get a turnover here or hold them to a field goal, it's much better. But Malik Willis has had command on this drive.
Yard shy of the first, 2nd and 1. Peyton has the first down. Stopped by a host of Orange tacklers, but it will be 1st and goal from inside the 5. Jahad Carter, the freshman, been seeing more and more time with Eric Cooley out. No Eric Cooley today. We mentioned Cisco. Steve Linton also didn't dress. Guy who made his first start last week against Duke for the Orange defense.
Yeah, this offensive line, especially Thomas Sargent, the center, he gets after you every single play.
Willis keeps it and takes it into the end zone for the touchdown.
Okay, I said this earlier in the drive. If you keep going hard inside, and this is where it usually happens when you get into the red zone. Malik Willis saw that. I saw it up here. He finally said, okay, you're going to keep crashing down because you got to try to stop the inside. Look at that. You can't go that far down inside. You've got to keep somebody outside on contain. He exploits it, gets to the house for 6.
Excellent drive from Hugh Freeze's offense. Alex Barbier makes it 14-7 with just 28 seconds left in the first quarter.
Tyrell Richards going hard inside number 42. You can't have that. You've got to keep it contained. That's the one guy that can stop that play or at least string him out. But the biggest problem is you got to stop that. Here's Liberty, though. They are getting after Syracuse on the inside, gashing them with different guys, interior run. Chevrolet Lewis taking it to the house. And then you've got Pickett turning outside, sticking that foot down and going. You got different guys that know how to run it. Look, 42, Richards sees it, and he knows, I got to stay outside. But his eyes and everything take him inside. Malik Willis says, I'm going to use that against you because we run so well inside.
Syracuse is pretty young in that linebacker core, also in the secondary.
Yeah, they talked about it, you know, when we talked to Tony White. He was just saying, we've got to learn how to stay with gap integrity, and that's been one of their issues against the run.
From the 8-yard line, Johnson out to about the 25, and a flag comes in. ACC football presented by CPI Security. Here from the Carrier Dome in central New York.
During the return, holding number 21, Syracuse. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Lee Koba, sophomore from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's the 2nd time on special teams that a Syracuse penalty has brought their starting field position inside the 20.
Yeah, it's really hurt them because they've had some nice returns, and then you actually get negative because you have a penalty like that.
Final 23 seconds of the first. Culpepper to Tucker. And the freshman from Maryland gallops out near first down yardage, but it will be a yard shot.
The 12th defender, the turf monster, almost got him. He was able to keep his feet and then get going and almost pick up the first down. The turf monster is not nice. He will get you at the most inopportune time.
Two teams will switch sides of the field, and we'll begin the second quarter with a second down and 1 from the 25-yard line at the other end. The old Beavers and the Orange know how important today is. They scored first. Remember, a year ago when these two teams met in Lynchburg, Liberty finished the game with -4 yards rushing. Time of possession better this week than last week for Syracuse, but they trail by 7. And they begin the second quarter with a second 1 run. And that'll move the chains for the Orange offense.
Liberty defensive line extend right before the play to kind of give you a different target to hit. Syracuse just kept where they were going. Were able to give Tucker just enough room to pick up that first down.
Liberty's defense 5th in the country, allowing just 260 yards a game. That pass dropped by Harris in the secondary. Dabney there coverage.
That was behind him. That's why it's just a little bit, you know, when you have a new guy coming in that hasn't played a lot, Harris expects it one way. He threw that behind him. He may have been able to catch it, but that was a little bit late by Culpepper.
We are wondering if we will see multiple quarterbacks today for Syracuse. Coaches would not commit to much. Great hit there. The pass to the tight end broken up by Butler.
I told you we were going to see Anthony Butler make some plays. He is always around the football. Tight end crossing, you know you're going to get hit. But Butler does an outstanding job. Right hand strip to knock that ball out and also get up there and make the play.
Butler, the senior, played 36 games over 3 seasons, 146 tackles at Charlotte before transferring to Liberty. Now on 3rd down. Culpepper throws, and it was nearly picked. Chris Megginson had it go through his grasp, and Syracuse will be forced to punt.
Yeah, that was he was not on the same page with Nakeem Johnson, and he's very fortunate that Chris Megginson didn't come away with an interception.
Another opportunity here for Demario Douglas. Had a 73-yard punt return for a touchdown last week against the Warhawks of Louisiana Monroe, one of 3 special teams touchdowns for the Flames last week. And he fumbles it. He muffed the punt, but Liberty appeared pounced on it. Now Syracuse saying they have it.
I don't think Liberty. Liberty didn't get it because the ball squirted out.
Wow. A huge break for the nation's leading turnover creators. The Orange get a gift on the muff punt by Douglas. And it'll be Syracuse ball in our CPI security red zone.
Well, you know he's looking up. He sees it. I got it. And he's going to take his eyes off of it. It always happens that way. And then his other buddy can't pick it up. Quentin Reese has a chance at it. Couldn't get it. And this is a big reason why the Syracuse team has been so good.
They haven't lost the turnover battle in 11 straight games. Picked off 4 passes against Georgia Tech. And now Syracuse set up for Tucker. 1st and 10 from the 15. They'll pick up a couple on 1st down.
Now, Evan, the thing we talked about is they haven't been great with points off of turnovers. And this is one where you've got to come away with a touchdown. You've got momentum on your side now. Don't settle for a field goal. You have to attack and get a touchdown if you're Syracuse.
Can Culpepper convert? Johnson rolled out of bounds as he made the catch, so incomplete. And just like that, 3rd and 8, but a flag. And now if you're Hugh Freeze, you choose 3rd and 8 or 2nd and 18 here.
The big thing right there is that he waits so late to throw the ball. I think they're going to take this penalty but you wait so late to throw it.
Holding offense, number 60. 10-yard penalty, second down.
You run out of real estate. So I would say, yes, you're going to take the penalty to force this team who has shown you some inconsistency at times in this offense. Yes, make them work harder to get that 7. You know you were almost probably going to give up 3 in this instance, but make them work harder to get 7. Tackles have flipped this week. Aaron Service is now moved to the right tackle. Matthew Bergeron is at the left tackle position.
On second down, becomes third and long. Incomplete, intended for Quealy.
Now you're in a position where you take advantage of anything you have, get the ball down the field. If you can score a touchdown, by all means, you do that. But you've got to come away with points here.
Culpepper could be a pretty good stunt double for Trevor Lawrence with those locks that he's got. Pretty good arm, not perhaps what Lawrence has with Clemson. Pretty good arm. Can he use it here? They set up the screen. Harris with room to run to the 10, down to the 5. They needed the 5 for the first down. Charles, it will be very, very close.
I thought they were going to get that with Harris and that screen, and now you're in a position where I think they're going for it. I don't see any of the kick team coming. And maybe he'll send it late. I think he's going to go jumbo package and really fire off the football. They bring in
Josh Black, McKinley Williams, defensive lineman coming in.
Yeah, it's a 4th and short. Again, I think right now you're thinking we've got to keep up with the scoring of Liberty.
They're basically half a yard from this first down. Culpepper, 6'3", but they give it to Tucker. He's met up front and denied. And Syracuse is going to turn it over on downs. Again, coming up empty after the turnover.
Culpepper almost didn't get the ball to him either. Yeah, they didn't look at this before, but let's see if Harris is able to get the first down. They didn't look at it. That was close. It was a good spot there. But then you come off the ball and you don't have movement on the inside, and you don't see it in your screen, but Culpepper is trying to reach back and almost doesn't get the ball to Sean Tucker on that play. It didn't look like it was successful from the very beginning. And Tucker, if maybe he goes out a little bit, but there was nowhere really to run on that interior of that defense. Good job by Liberty.
Trayshawn Clark with a stop. Elijah James, Carl Poole in the mix as well for that Flames front. What a huge defensive sequence for the Flames. And Lewis runs into a crowd and maybe picks up a yard on first down.
Evan, what are we talking about? The points off the turnover. They get all of those turnovers, but points off turnovers have not been kind to them this year.
And the penalties, yes. I mean, they almost overcame it, but it was a holding penalty that forced them to 2nd and 18, 3rd and 18. So far, Charles, Liberty, 5 penalties, 40 yards. There has not been a flag on the Flames. Barrett, the man in motion for Liberty. Willis, straight drop, now sneaks up. Across the line of scrimmage to the 10.
It almost appeared that Willis thought it was a free play, but Syracuse was able to get back onside. And that was a nice play there by Tyrell Richards.
It's been a heck of a journey for Willis. Obviously, he redshirted last year after transferring from Auburn, where he was the backup to Jarrett Stidham for a couple seasons. Appeared in 15 games, only threw 14 passes as a member of the Auburn Tigers. And when he was playing that state championship football game as a high school senior, he was actually a Virginia Tech commit, but he was going there to play DB, and he wanted to play QB. And he goes down inside the 5. Marlowe Wax, the freshman from Baltimore, comes up with a stop on 3rd down.
Huge play by Wax. He comes across and just fires there on a dog blitz. Those linebackers coming. Kind of delayed, so you don't know he's there. Look, he just holds on. I'm holding on. You can't get away from him, Malik. You can't. Not on this play.
He brought him down by the horse collar of the pants.
What happens is you lose those linebackers when they're delayed blitz like that, and he's able to get there and effectively get that sack.
Injured Orange defender down in the field. We'll take the timeout. 4th down when we return.
Member of the community here, and we wanted to send him the best. We're rooting for you, Joe.
Yeah, Abby, thanks for bringing that up. I've sat next to Joe doing basketball games here at the Dome. He's as good as it gets when it comes to doing stats.
Whenever you come up to Syracuse, you're going to run into Joe. He's always around, has some great insight. Let's hope he gets well.
Liberty special teams were the story last week, but Syracuse with an opportunity to do something here. Punting from the back line of his end zone, Alvis. It's high, but it's short. Syracuse is going to be set up right around the 40. Let's see where it's spot by the official. And he's going inside the 40 at the 36-yard line. So a 33-yard punt officially for Alvis. And the Orange, again, we said it before, but they got to capitalize here, right, Bud?
Yeah, this is almost like a quasi-turnover. You know, you get such a short field to work on. We saw that before. Couldn't use it and couldn't take advantage of it. Let's see what they're able to do in this offensive series.
Rex Culpepper and the Culpepper family know all about being survivors. Of course, both his parents, Monica and Brad, finished as runners-up with seasons of the CBS show Survivor. Tucker to the outside, makes a miss inside the 20. And a big run for Sean Tucker into the red zone.
Now, remember what Coach Baber said about his speed. He said, you know, Marcus Allen was fast, but not as fast as this kid. He wasn't comparing him to Marcus Allen. He was just saying he's got track speed, which he does, but he's got a low center of gravity, and when he gets outside, you can see him take off there.
Gains 20, right back to Tucker, and he runs into the big man, Henry Tribuzzi.
We expected to see more backs in the backfield. I think they've really gone with the hot hand in Tucker. Nice tackle right there by Tribuzzi also.
Cooper Lutz is in the game for Syracuse, but he's not in the backfield. He's out in the slot to the right. Now he's coming, and they fake the handoff to the Lutz. Instead, it's the tight end. And into the end zone for the touchdown. Aaron Hackett scores for Syracuse. Well-designed play.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Really nice. They bring the running back across, and that's a line or a lion play where you take this tight end. You're just going to run him down the line. He catches the ball, but the defense has to respect. You see the two defenders move. They're not in position. Now he's able to catch it and turn up into that alley where usually you have a safety or a linebacker. No one there. Good job. Good play design by Sterling Gilbert in this offense.
3 plays, 36 yards, and an extra point away from a tie here in the second quarter. Mentioned Sterling Gilbert, who last year was the head coach at McNeese State. Before that, he was the offensive coordinator for 5 different programs over the span of 7 years.
Makes a mean brisket, too. You got to check it out when we get out of these COVID days.
Andre Schmidt out of the hold of Cooney through the uprights. We expected a close game today, and so far we've been trading touchdowns. Orange got on the board first, 14 straight for the Flames, and then Culpepper's second touchdown pass. This time it's Hackett, 128, 2 scores. Pretty good first half.
Well, that last score was one they really needed, and they were able to do it with the nice play design, getting the tight end, Hackett into the end zone.
Shedro Lewis going to have a chance to return this one from the 2. Makes a couple Orange miss and skitters out across the 20. 20-yard return. Liberty will begin this possession from the 22-yard line. Lee Koba fired up after making the stop on special teams. So Willis back out there. He's only thrown 7 passes so far, 5 for 7. Perhaps more surprisingly, he's only carried the ball twice officially for a net of -3. That includes a sack. I mean, this is a guy who's carried the ball for 340 yards in 4 ball games. In fact, he only played in 3 of them. Here he comes on cue. What you talking about, Willis?
Well, what they also did is they were able to draw Michael Jones out of the middle, and he sees that, and he's able to go to the vacated spot for some nice yards.
17 yards before Hannah brings him down out to the 39-yard line.
It becomes a numbers game for the quarterback and the defense. The defense knows we've got a guy that's got good legs and can move, but you also understand that I've got to protect everything else that's going around and not let that beat me either.
Fresh set of downs, and Willis keeps it again. Spun down by Amon Greenwood after a pickup of 9.
Got to keep contained. If you don't, he will make you pay. That's just what he's been able to do. He sees inside. Okay, I got all these guys. Look, 2 defenders get sucked in, and when they do, he pulls it and is able to get outside. Freshman Leon Lowry, athletic guy, but you can tell he's number 16, gets too far inside.
On 2nd and 1, it's Lewis bursting up the middle. Lewis breaks a tackle for the 2nd time. Lewis goes the distance. Touchdown, Liberty. 52 yards for Shedro Lewis.
That touchdown was created by Malik Willis on those 2 runs on the outside. Hugh Freeze knows how to do this to you. You get outside. The defense starts saying, okay, I got to protect. And then what happens next? Inside, they run effectively. That block right there by the tight end was good. But look at the hole on the inside that just allows Shedro Lewis to go to the house. You beat me outside with the quarterback a few times, and then you come right in the gut and take it for 6.
Well, Shedro Lewis, Charles, is averaging 34 yards a carry. That includes a 75-yard touchdown and now a 57-yard touchdown. 21-14, the Flames unbeaten, looking for their first win ever. Not intimidated by this ACC foe.
Not stopping them inside in particular, but outside as well.
Johnson has some room down the sideline and wants the kicker Barbier, and a flag gets thrown late. They're going to get a late hit on the kicker.
But did you see how fast Johnson picked up steam on that sideline? Whoa.
Officials conferring as to whether he was out of bounds. Babers thought he was. You don't see too many personal fouls on kickers.
He's not afraid to throw his body around. And I think Johnson had started to work out.
After the player was on out of bounds, personal foul.
Wow.
Kicking team, 15-yard from the end of the run, first down.
He picks up steam here, and he's going to work himself outside. Barber really wants to hit people.
So the first penalty on the Flames is on the kicker today.
You know what? Sometimes, though, the folks will say, okay, that's okay. Just don't hit him out of bounds.
He's a sturdy 5'9", 220.
Yeah, he brought something out. He brought the wood. Was not afraid to.
Sets up Syracuse at midfield. And now they go backwards. Heck of a stop by Jawan Treadwell in the backfield. Loss of 5.
Yeah, Jawan Treadwell wasted no time getting to Sean Tucker. As soon as Tucker got that ball, he's right there. You see Anthony Butler's eyes making plays, but on the outside, you're going to see number 9 come hard. And if he hadn't made that tackle, you see Butler going to be right there to make it as well. Good defense by Liberty.
Jawan Treadwell, younger brother of Laquan. Played wide receiver for Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss. Several years in the NFL with the Minnesota Vikings. Believe he's with the practice squad in Atlanta right now. Taj Harris to the outside, gets some of that yardage back. It will be 3rd down and 9 here for Syracuse.
Be interesting to see what Syracuse dials up here. They need the first down since they've struggled with that.
this feels like a really sneaky big play. 6:40 to go first half. You got to keep matching Liberty's offense. Culpepper under pressure, and he throws it, but it wasn't much. And wouldn't be surprised if we see a flag.
Yeah, I think they want to make sure there's no.
I mean, Hugh Freeze was ready to make that catch.
I think they're going to talk about this. Was he still inside the box? And there was definitely nobody there. They're going to call a penalty.
Intentional grounding, offense, number 17. That's a spot foul, loss of down, 4th down.
So you're saying Hugh Freeze is not an eligible receiver?
No, he's not an eligible receiver, but also the thing that this offensive line has done pretty well is protect. But right there, he had no time. Trayshawn Clark had him in the grasp inside the box, and he was saying, no, there's nobody out here. He said, I'm the receiver. He's showing the officials. That is too funny.
Mario Douglas back at his own 10-yard line. Fair catch made near the 6.
Douglas makes the fair catch.
So Syracuse comes up empty on 3rd down.
The line right there, Liberty had -4 yards rushing. But the other thing is, it's been a depleted Syracuse team, and Liberty has gotten better. They've got these transfer guys in. They've got some guys now that really understand what Hugh Freeze is trying to do. And I think you're starting to see them come up.
And Hugh told us on the call this past week, he said, I was absolutely worthless in that game. And you got to imagine, I mean, your head coach coaching from a hospital bed, he's much more impactful today. So he didn't provide any positive assistance to his team. Since that game, the Orange are 5-10. The Flames are 12-4. Today happens to be the 30th game for Liberty as an FBS program. They're pretty impressive 18-11 right now. Trying to get to 19-11 through 30 games. Pitch it out to Johnny Huntley, the big tight end. 6'3", 240. Forced out by Hanna at the 13.
Huntley had a huge block on that last touchdown run. Right there, he's able to get outside again. We used to call this a line route or lion in our vernacular for the hot shots, and you get the guy the ball quick and let him work with it. Hugh Freeze was our one of our offensive coordinator for 2 weeks. And then he went on the bigger and better pastures.
Yeah, he confirmed. I heard a rumor that he left because he didn't get along with the tight end coach, but he denied that rumor.
No truth to that at all.
Up the middle, another good chunk to move the chains.
65 has been added to the Remington list, Thomas Sargent. And there's a reason why. Not only he, but the right and left guard have blocked effectively. Look at inside. Look at him getting extra blocks. So your center usually gets one guy, but he goes and hits one. He's going to go try to find another one. He gets a nice block there on Marlowe Wax. This is the kind of thing that when you have a school that has moved from the FCS to FBS, you have to develop guys or make sure these guys develop with your program. They've got some really good interior offensive linemen, Liberty does.
Sargent making his 41st consecutive start for the Flames. Here today, Willis overcooked that one.
And one thing, too, about that, when I spent time with Hugh Freeze, that was the one thing that's always kind of been a misnomer about his offenses, that they don't run the football. He says, look, we just try to create matchup, whether it's inside zone, outside zone, and we run the football. We don't have a lot of running plays, but our offensive line can contribute to that because they understand what we're trying to do in the run game.
Also at Ole Miss, when you have the receivers that he has,
Yes.
you want to give them a chance to make plays. Metcalf, Brown, Treadwell, and others.
But Evan, I went back and looked at those teams. They had effective running games because they would do it with some diversity in the run game. But you're right. When you have guys that can go get the ball, like a DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown, you want to put the ball in their hands.
Last year, Antonio Gandy Golden, now with the now with the Washington football team. Iowa Buck.
Yeah, he was really a good player for this Liberty program.
Offside defense, number 9, unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
I'll also say this, too. There was a lot of things going on in this Liberty program before the season, and it could have unraveled quickly. There was some players that transferred out because they didn't feel like the school was acknowledging them from a racial standpoint. I think they've done a really nice job, the coaches have, of keeping this team together, because that's never easy when you have those situations.
On third down, a long look to the sideline for Willis. Flames 1 for 3 on third down so far. They haven't had many, obviously. Malik's going to throw. And he completes it to Stubbs. And he's going to be a yard or two shy of the marker. That's a huge tackle right there.
Yeah, really nice. First, really catching that ball, and you're thinking he's going to get a first down. But that was a nice tackle.
Timeout. Syracuse, their first timeout of the half.
Liberty lined
30-second timeout.
Like they were going to go for it. You know, Babers calls the timeout.
Then LeBronx out there on a nice tackle.
Interesting decision here. I think if you're Hugh Freeze, what do you think?
You know, I thought for sure they were going to punt it here and make sure that they made Syracuse work. But it almost looks like they're getting some big guys and getting set up to run the football.
We shall see. But first, a quick message from Bojangles.
Feed the whole family with a big Bo box. It's Bo time.
But the way they've been gashing people on the run, Evan, Syracuse in particular today, that might be why they feel like they can pick up 1 yard.
The offense has returned to the field.
Fourth down and a yard from the 30-yard line.
Michael Bollinger, an extra tight end, is out there alongside Willis in the backfield. Willis going to keep it himself, and he's got the first down for Liberty. Gutsy call, pays off. First down for the Flames.
Old school wing T football. You just take the quarterback and you put a big body in front of him and you go and get the first down. Look at 30. Look at all those guys off. I mean, the physicality right there is what got that first down. Syracuse has to answer. They have to figure out a way to say, okay, we're not going to allow ourselves to be pushed around like this by Liberty or anybody else.
Here's Peyton Pickett, another gigantic crease out to midfield before he's ushered out of bounds by Carter. 13-yard pickup.
Every time someone vacates an area, they run to it. So blocking inside there, and then you see Wax getting thrown around.
Damian Bounds threw him out of the club.
They're doing what you're supposed to do as an offensive lineman. Move people when they don't want to be moved. If you're Syracuse now, you stand up and say, no, I'm taking this space right here, and I'm not letting you throw me out of the way.
Huntley in motion. Again, it's Pickett. Again, it's a crease. And Pickett absorbs the first contact and spins for a couple more yards and another first down.
Evan, that was the one thing that stood out on tape. I mean, when they want to get to you and they get through you. Offensive linemen usually sometimes hit to a spot, but this group will go and they hit you and they do it violently and they'll throw you out of the way. And the running backs say, okay, look, I got this hole or that hole. I'm going through it 100 miles an hour.
We expected Liberty to lean on the run. 2/3 of the plays so far. 20 of their 30 plays have been on the ground.
And I'm not shocked by it at all.
Liberty's got 13 first downs in this first half.
And on the flip side of that, that was a good play defensively. But what you have to do as a defender, having played against defense all my life and played some growing up, you've got to be willing to say, I'm not going to get blocked. I am going to be violent with my hands, and I'm not going to let you push me around as a defensive lineman. They have to rotate because those guys have been out there a long time. Yeah. But the other thing is, you can't have the mentality, I'm going to be blocked.
Under 2 minutes in the half. Liberty has all 3 timeouts left. Time's not a huge factor here. From the 40-yard line, 2nd and 9. Willis looked like the quarterback draw. He breaks it to the outside. And it will be 3rd and 7 or 8.
I think they're going to get a sideline warning unless it was a late. I don't think it was a late hit. flag coming in on the play. But the one thing Willis can do is you think you got him in the backfield, and he still picks up a couple of yards.
Flag on the play.
After the runner went out of bounds, personal foul, late hit, defense, number 42, 15-yard penalty, first down.
See, where the area where the official threw it, I thought he was either going to be a late hit or a sideline warning. But he came storming up, so this was a situation where you have guys outside. It wasn't 42.
They got 97, Cody Roscoe. That's a close one. It's a tough call, but you can understand why they made it.
Yeah, you can't do that when you give up 2 yards. You just let him go so you can continue to play and not give them any more yards than what they're already gashing you for. Instead
of 3rd and 7 from outside field goal range, it's a new set of downs from the 23. It's a costly penalty right there. Up the middle, Shedro Lewis inside the 20. And now we should mention, we expected Joshua Mack to be a huge factor today. Mack, 12th in the nation with nearly 360 yards rushing through 4 games. We've barely seen him at all.
I think also, too, that could probably be something internal where he's not playing. And reading an article late last night, I think, you know, we expected to see him, but I think there's some things going on with he and Coach Freeze.
Willis keeps it. Runs into Michael Jones. Freeze told us that he was going to lean on Josh Mack this week. He said there were some issues last week, which is why he didn't start the game against Louisiana Monroe. Pickett got the start. On 3rd down, under pressure, Willis escapes. He's got the first down. Inside the 5, he lost the football. It's on the ground. Inside the 5, and Syracuse has it.
This team knows how to find ball. They know how to find the football.
Oh, what a costly turnover there. Second takeaway of the half for the Orange.
Well, Willis is in open field, and when he gets out there, gets a little loose with the football. And he's able to get by about 3 or 4 defenders, but at the very end, he takes a shot. It looked like
the ruling on the field was a fumble recovered by the defense, Syracuse. The previous play is under further review.
It's definitely out. Michael Jones, the forced fumble and the recovery.
The quiet leader, right? He wasn't quiet on that play. Second in the nation with 2 interceptions, and 3 interceptions, excuse me, but he comes over, and Willis is actually securing the football, but that's almost one of those where they say put it to the sideline. He's able to go and just knock that football out. It's a huge play, which should stand.
Officials want to make sure that no one touched the ball with a body part out of bounds, because that would mean possession was not established and it would be Liberty ball. But
after further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
So Syracuse will have it from their own 3-yard line with 29 seconds left in the half. And you got to just shake your head at some of the turning point plays we've seen. 2 turnovers, costly for Liberty.
Think about this. Liberty scores there. Then they have the ball coming out in the second half again. This could be a huge play for Syracuse.
Tucker running out of his own end zone. Makes a move. Nice job by Scruggs getting a piece of the ankle to slow Tucker down after a 10-yard run.
That's been the difference. When Syracuse has had some opening lanes, that 2nd and 3rd level, they've done a pretty nice job of ensuring the tackle, where Syracuse, on the other hand, has not always done that.
Tucker's got 74 yards on the ground in the half, and here's another decent chunk, but the clock's winding down. Taj Harris is going to run out this first half clock, and that will take us to halftime. All that running around produced 11 yards. And Dino Babers will walk to the locker room down by 7. Charles, remember, Liberty will receive to start the second half. They deferred at the outset.
That's what I was saying. If they had scored there, that could have gotten ugly.
Well, certainly an entertaining 30 minutes of football. Big plays back and forth. Shedro Lewis, 142 rushing yards for a Liberty team that has 253 in the half. Second straight week. Syracuse has allowed over 200 yards on the ground in the half. Let's go to Abby with Hugh Freeze.
Well, Coach, Shedro Lewis in your run game really getting it done. Do we expect to see Joshua Mack coming out in the second half?
No, I think, he's been struggling with illness the last 2 days and just hadn't really felt up to it. And, we got great confidence in our other guys, too. So probably not.
Okay, well, obviously fumble at the end there, but it was a great drive. What are you going to tell these guys in the locker room on how to keep this going through the second half?
Well, it's disappointing to go in just up 7. That drive, we ate the whole clock up. We're getting ready to get points. And, we hadn't taken care of the ball. We fumbled a punt, fumbled that. And we hadn't had any field position. So I guess in one way we're fortunate to be up 7, but it sure doesn't feel like it right now.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
It's an interesting way to think about it. You outgain your opponent 317 to 187. And yet you're only up by a touchdown. And yet you're up by a touchdown on the road against an ACC opponent. You've never beaten an ace. We welcome you back to our broadcast position inside the dome. Evan Lepler, former UCLA and NFL tight end Charles Arbuckle. We're catching our breaths from that first half, Charles. Hugh Freeze had a pretty good point there. They've got over 300 yards. They're on the road. He feels they should be up more, and yet they're in a pretty good position. They received to start the second half up a touchdown.
Well, a couple of those opportunities, but that one in particular at the end, you see a guy, Michael Jones, coming over, and Willis really running, I think, protecting the football, maybe putting it on the other side, but I think that was the part. You score there, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal, you get the ball again. And the way their offense is run, it's been hard for Syracuse to stop them. I think that's what he's thinking about, the missed opportunities.
Has Syracuse done anything on defense the last couple drives that has given you some hope that they can slow this Liberty rushing attack down?
I think they're going to have to keep rotating guys in and out, and they've got to get off blocks. This offensive line, when you watch them on tape, they have done this every single game this year. It doesn't surprise me that they're doing it now. I just didn't think Syracuse was going to let them push them around up front. And if I'm Dino Babers and Tony White, I'm telling my defensive line, we've got to play well because that's the heart and soul of what they are right now. Their front 7 isn't getting it done.
Let's jump into the highlights. It started with a Rex Culpepper touchdown pass. How did you feel Culpepper handled himself?
I thought he played pretty well. He started off nice, and then I think once the game settled in, Liberty got a beat on him and started understanding what he was trying to accomplish.
Shedro Lewis on 2nd and 10 from the 25 went 75 yards for Liberty to tie the game.
Interior, that touchdown happened because they started working the edges, but he was able to find a crease and take it to the house.
Malik Willis in a 7-all ball game calls his own number, gives Liberty its first lead, and it was that inside running that you mentioned that opened up the perimeter. Culpepper's second touchdown here to Hackett. But, Liberty has this guy, Shedro Lewis, that Syracuse hasn't been able to stop.
They haven't been able to. Nice block by Huntley coming across, and then he's able to just run. The second and third level for Syracuse has struggled over the last few weeks, and you can see it showing its ugly head again, because if the running back finds a crease, he generally doesn't get touched until he gets to the end zone.
Syracuse does have the edge in time of possession, but that's a byproduct of Liberty scoring pretty darn quick. A 57-yarder and a 75-yarder for Lewis.
The other thing they have to do, they get turnovers. You got to capitalize. The last one really doesn't count, but that first one, this game should be tied if you're Syracuse. And if you're Hugh Freeze, you're thinking, we can't turn the ball over anymore.
It's a balmy fall day here in Syracuse. The Orange.
Guys around you have to protect you. Your line has to do as good a job as they can and allow you time to find those weapons.
Squib kick fielded by Lewis, and he will slither out past the 20 to about the 22-23-yard line. I mentioned Syracuse. The last time the Orange were 1-3 was 2012. They finished that year 7-2. Were Co-Big East champs under Doug Marrone. On the other hand, the last time the Orange started 1-4, that was back in 2008. They finished 3-9 that year. So this is a huge half of football to try to create a little turning point in the Orange season. Obviously, to call it a tough game is selling it short to say they've got Clemson on the road next week. Then winnable games against Wake and BC inside the Dome after that. Lewis, another huge hole. And there he goes again out across the 45-yard line to start the second half.
That's just a straight old school counter. You bring guys over and you open up the lane, and Lewis has been able to run effectively behind that. Good blocking up front. Look at that, boom. You hit those guys perfectly. Nice block there by Cooper McCaw. The second level has hurt Syracuse today because they're not coming up to make plays. You have to have those guys, like your offensive, your first level is going to get hit. They're going to get blocked. But you've got to be able to then have run fit.
Kedra Lewis's previous career high has been fast and elusive for Liberty.
Getting in the open field, he's not wasting any time. And this offensive line, the tight ends, and everybody have had some huge blocks. He's gotten to the second and third level so quick, it's been tough for them to stop him.
Injured Orange D-back Amon Greenwood did walk off the field slowly under his own power. But it was a 24-yard run from Lewis to begin this drive to start the second half. Back to Lewis again, and nice job there. I believe it was McKinley Williams and Kingsley Jonathan hanging on. Stop for just 5.
Very nice job. When you come out of the half, you also say, look, what adjustments have we made? Let's see after that first long run if they're able to stop Kedra Lewis. 7 rushes, 172 yards.
Yeah, his average dipped from 27 a pop to 24.5 a pop with just picking up 5 there.
It's made it easy for Malik Willis because he hadn't had to throw the ball a whole lot. They've been able to run it effectively almost every time.
Now it's Pickett's turn. And he gains about 4 yards before he's forced out of bounds. It'll be 3rd and 1. Fatu Melifonwu forced him out of bounds, but another flag is down in the Syracuse secondary.
It's going to be a late hit on somebody. Saw DJ Stubbs coming back a little bit late, but it was a late penalty flag.
After the play, personal foul, Syracuse number 6. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
That's the 9th penalty for 75 yards against the Orange, and we got 13.5 minutes in the third quarter.
When your defense is getting gashed like they have been getting, then guys get that way, and you've got to find a way not to lose your cool, but to continue to play within the confinements of the game.
Why do they get that way? Is it just the frustration?
It's a frustration. It's also one of those situations where your manhood is being tested, and you have no other way to express it. And unfortunately, it's a detriment to your team and to yourself, but that's what you revert to.
Got to maintain the composure and not go outside the rules to get your revenge. Flag down here at the line of scrimmage as Willis throws it and completes it to Kevin Shaw. Down inside the 10. Beat Garrett Williams to the corner there. We'll check the marker. Believe this one's coming back.
Illegal formation offense. 5 players were in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So we're going to go back to that penalty and take a look here at these 2 players. You'll see inside. I know one was DJ Stubbs because I saw him, but you also have Trill. Now, DJ is trying to block, but Trill just gets upset and just flings him. Now, I could say that, to me, that's you're playing and you're trying to evade a guy unless you're going to get him for slamming a helmet. I didn't think that was as egregious as a penalty suggested.
Amon Greenwood, by the way, back in the game for Syracuse after going down on the first play of the drive. Pickett with Willis in the backfield. Malik keeps it, fires deep. Open man has the touchdown. It's DJ Stubbs, 36-yard catch and score for the Flames.
They beat you with their run game. Now they go back, and DJ Stubbs probably was pushed late on that play that we saw where the penalty flag came. That time, you've been beat so much with the run game, your safeties start getting nosy, and when that happens, you're able to go over the top.
Willis puts it right on the money. Just his third touchdown pass of the season. Barbier makes it 28-14. Strong drive to start the second. Along with Clemson, BYU, SMU, and Coastal Carolina. One of 5 teams in the nation that's now at least 4-0. You got SMU, BYU 5-0 now. Coastal Carolina had a last-second win on Wednesday night.
And Evan, I think some people think, well, you just go to a school like that and you get transfers. Well, I think, Hugh Freeze has done the rebuilding projects along his career, whether it was at Arkansas State, whether it was at Ole Miss. And no matter what you think about it, you can do it in a place where they want to be successful, and he's really had a good opportunity with this team to build them to what he sees and what he knows can be successful.
Just the 6th touchback of the season for Alex Barbier, the Flames kicker. And by the way, Barbier still has the only penalty on Liberty until that illegal formation on that last drive.
And I think if he could get another one, he would. He wants to be with the fellas, and they'll rib him about that one.
All right, Rex Culpepper, you got an opportunity here, young man. He's 23 years old. I mean, he talked about how overcoming cancer really put things into perspective. He actually wrote a really poignant column for the Players Tribune. He said cancer really does change your perception of everything instantly. One day you're upset that you're not getting the reps that you want in practice, or that your helmet is too tight, and then you get cancer and it's like, man, it's just amazing to feel the grass on your feet.
Makes you appreciate what life is all about, and I think that's the real key in what he's saying. The other thing now with them is that if you're Liberty, you can't sleep on these receivers for Syracuse. They can go by you pretty quickly. Taj Harris and Nakeem Johnson have had some explosive plays. You got to pay attention to them in the passing game.
Harris at the bottom of the screen. That's where Culpepper's looking. You called it, Charles, but out of bounds. The throw took him there. Although Harris didn't give him a lot of space to throw it to.
Well, and I think Culpepper, you have to be, as a quarterback, able to make a better throw where you give him a chance. He almost gets that 1 foot down. I don't know. They may look at this. You have to go where the throw takes you.
I think the toe is on the white.
But the thing is, that was that, like we used to call that all go, where everybody's running a 9. And these guys are fast enough.
The ruling on the field is a completed catch. 1 foot was inbounds. First down, Syracuse.
Presumably they'll take another look at this. Over on the Liberty sideline, Hugh Freeze was waving his arms as if to indicate incomplete.
Yeah, I want to see it again.
The previous play is under further review.
Because they called it a catch. They have to have evidence to overturn it. He goes up, and he comes down. It looks like white on white. That's why I thought initially right away he was out of bounds.
39-yard completion hanging in the balance here.
It's like I don't see almost any green. And to your point, the big toe looks to be out.
If his shoe size was about 2 smaller, that would have been in bounds.
Well, I wear 15, so I would have been way out of bounds. But good effort, and I think just a little bit too far over is the throw that takes him there. And Taj does a nice job of almost making that a catch. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep this to uphold it. But again, this offense can explode pretty quickly, and they've given Rex some time to throw the football back there. They're going to need some of these chunk plays to get themselves back in position and cut this score down. That's the thing with Syracuse. They haven't played clean from a penalty standpoint, but they've got turnovers. they've had explosive plays, but they haven't been able to stop the run.
Similar story to last week.
You know, when people talk about let's spread this, let's do that, but the key to football is always what can you do in the trenches? What can you do in the run game? Can you run the football and can you stop the run? And oh, by the way, can you tackle? And that was an issue for him. Today, it hadn't always been just tackling. It's been big hole, big run, and running backs taking it a long way. Yeah. I read his lips, no catch.
After further review, the receiver's foot was out of bounds when he possessed the ball. Therefore, it's an incomplete pass. It will be 3rd down and 4 from the 31-yard line. The clock is correct, and we'll start on the snap.
Just give him a little bit more room if you want to be picky. If you're in the quarterback room and you're watching that back next week or tomorrow, is what Sterling Gilbert would tell Rex Culpepper. Just give him a little more room so we can make that completion.
Cooper Lutz is the Syracuse running back right now. Redshirt sophomore from Reading, PA, standing alongside Culpepper on 3rd and 4. Cuse 1 of 7 on 3rd downs. Make it 2 of 8. Harris across the 40, dives out beyond the 45 to the 48-yard line. 1st down, Syracuse.
I really like how he attacks the defense after he catches the football. Nice throw by Rex. He gets it out quick, gets it to him, and then Taj Harris does the rest after that.
Harris going deep. It's the tight end instead, Benson. And Javon Scruggs in the coverage for Liberty.
Good defense there by Javon Scruggs. Running stride for stride and not letting the big man get back on the track of where the ball is going to go to.
So last week, Charles, Syracuse got into a habit of throwing the deep ball, and they didn't connect all that much. But we've seen these short passes, the quick ins, the slants, be more effective for the Orange.
They'll try it, but they need to also, like you said, pick up those shorter plays, and this is a nice one right here by Lutz.
First carry of the day for Cooper Lutz. Takes it onto the Liberty side of the field and creates a 3rd down and 3 from the plus 45. 7-yard gain for Lutz. And now another key 3rd down for the Syracuse offense.
Really good blocking there by the right side of the line of scrimmage. Offensive line, excuse me, and they were able to really give him some room to run.
Liberty confused with his personnel. For a second, Darrell Johnson came charging onto the field, then he retreated back to the sideline, got there before the snap. Syracuse sets up the screen, but Harris gets crushed. Anthony Butler drilled a gain of just 1. It's 4th and 2.
I like how Harris popped up because he could have gotten hit even worse. You cannot be this late on the inside middle screen. And Butler sees it and recognizes it just right there. Listen. Clean hit, just effective hit on that play.
Orange 1 of 2 on 4th down today. Play clock at 11 for Culpepper. They need 2. Quick throw, complete down past the 40 for the Syracuse 1st down. It's Johnson this time, Nykeem Johnson. A huge 4th down conversion.
So the way the day is going, they can't pick up 3rd down, but they can pick up 4th down. Nice play. You run one guy off. Nykeem Johnson comes on the outside. He's right there. Nice connection between those two.
Back to Lutz on the ground. And a flag is thrown as he picks up a couple. Thrown down by Chibuzi. Flag's going to be on Liberty.
Illegal formation offense. 5 players were in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Really calling it tight. Can only have 4. They're getting 1 extra guy in that backfield. Sometimes it's a lineman that's lined up too far back, or there's something that's happening. We've seen this on both teams now.
First down 15 from the Liberty 45-yard line.
And what you have to do is declare, but they've got too many guys back there. Tight end should be up, or receiver should be up, 1 back.
Quarterback draw. Culpepper not going to get very far. Ran into Henry Chibuzi, among others. Anthony Butler there too. I wouldn't want to run into Henry Chibuzi.
He'll make it uncomfortable for you. I mean, he is just not a big guy at all.
Recruited as an O-lineman, played a little bit on the O-line in 2018. The new staff moved him to D-line, and he's taking up space.
Having listed at 6'3", 250, he's all of that.
That may be an outdated listing. Trying to set up the screen again, but Lutz is going to get brought down for a loss. It could have been a 7-yard loss. Instead, it's about a 4 or 5-yard loss. Dabney in the backfield for the Flames. 3rd and long coming up.
The read and recognition of this Liberty defense has been really good, especially on these screens. Emmanuel Dabney there that time right there, and then on that middle funnel screen earlier where Anthony Butler just obliterated Taj Harris. They've been able to recognize and sniff them out pretty effectively.
We have not seen Sean Tucker so far in the second half.
He got nicked up on one of those earlier runs.
As we saw for a couple plays.
Yeah.
81 yards in the game for Tucker, and some confusion leads to a timeout.
Timeout. Syracuse, their first timeout of the half. Full media timeout.
3rd and 18 after Culpepper and his coaches talk. They're not really exploring the studio space
I
of
was
it yet.
worried earlier when I was on there we may break it.
It's brand new. It's Charles proof, I think.
I got you.
All right, 3rd and 18 out of the timeout. They need to get all the way down to the 30. Culpepper steps up. He's got time. And he completes the pass for the moment, but it was broken up.
Marcus Haskins. There, Justin Barron is coming across, and it takes a little while. Good protection. He waits and holds it. Marcus Haskins.
That would have been the first career catch for Justin Barron, one of the top recruits out of Connecticut, if he could have held on.
And Haskins is fortunate he didn't get that face mask and pull it around, where they would have had a penalty on that particular play.
Shedro Lewis standing at his own 7. 5th punt of the day for Cooney. Fair caught at the 6. And that's where Liberty's offense will take over inside their own 10, but up by 2 touchdowns midway through this 3rd quarter. 42-yard punt for Cooney.
Well, your defense has really done a good job of getting turnovers. So let's go with what the positive is. Now you've got to stop this run game that has just been so effective for Syracuse. I mean, excuse me, for Liberty.
Yeah, 290 total yards on the ground. Lewis has 171 of them. Pickett has another 80. And Josh Mack, who came in as their top rusher, has not been involved, and yet Liberty still continues to chew up the ground yardage. Pickett this time met by a pack. Rob Hanna got there first in a short game.
Much better on the interior of not letting him get anywhere initially, and then Rob Hanna coming to clean it up.
Liberty get out of their own shadow of their goalpost, or can Syracuse put some defensive plays together? Completed out to Stubbs. Gains about 3 more, so it's going to be 3rd and 6 or so here for the Flames.
2 very good plays where you're in position to make the play, and then the defensive coordinator, Tony White, has to be happy with how his guys have come up and rallied to the football. He talked a lot about that this week when we spoke with him.
Spotted for 3rd and 5. Feels like a gargantuan moment for the Syracuse defense right here. Willis by himself in the backfield, and that's incomplete. To the outside, intended for C.J. Daniels, but Garrett Williams there with the coverage, and Syracuse defense gets off the field.
I think that was a really productive series for Syracuse on their defense. They've been on the field a lot today, and that was a 3-and-out for them, which was golden, and gives them a chance to flip the field even.
Hakeem Johnson at his own 45, awaiting the kick from Alvis. Presumably good field position coming here for Cuse. And he'll fair catch it inside the 40. Pretty good kick there from Alvis, 48 yards. And now flags come in late. How do you have flags happen on a fair catch like this? Coming in 5 seconds after the whistles.
That was a late flag. Generally, it's a holding on the...
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 6, kicking team. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
It's Anthony Butler.
Very positive play if you're Syracuse.
Yes, indeed.
Because usually when that happens that late, you're thinking it's a hole, blocking the back. Anthony Butler gave him some free yards there. And if you're Syracuse now, this is where it's sudden offense. You know, they like to go sudden change. I wouldn't be shocked if they go with a strike right here to try to attack this defense.
And look at this. Sean Tucker's back in the game for Syracuse alongside Culpepper in the backfield. Fake the give and a one-hop throw intended for Quealy. Let's take a look and see how that 15-yard penalty came to be.
Anthony Butler, number 6. Yeah.
Sold well.
Yes, it was.
Orange will take it. Culpepper's throw tipped and almost picked. It was Butler, the man called for the penalty that nearly had 6 going the other way.
So many times you pull this linebacker out of the position, but if he stays there, this is the chance for an interception by Anthony Butler. Hit him in his hands. He had 2 interceptions versus North Alabama. Got a lot of stats on the year, and he's a guy that brings it from that middle linebacker position for Liberty.
Another 3rd down and long. Culpepper short-armed it, and it's intercepted. Chris Megginson lays out and takes it away for the Flames as Syracuse turns it over for the first time.
One of the longest throws in college football when you're on the other hash and you're trying to come back over here. You've got to throw it with some authority, and it didn't look like the ball came out clean for Culpepper. Megginson, see, he's on that hash. He's coming to this hash. Megginson reads it, stays underneath, and just slinks and goes to the football. Even if he's not there, that ball is not completed. Really nice play by Megginson.
His first pick of the season. Liberty defense forced 6 turnovers their past 2 ball games. First takeaway today. Of course, the stop on 4th and short doesn't count as a turnover, but that was a huge play too. Now Lewis, and he's hitting the backfield and spun down by Trill Williams.
Yeah, really nice design here. If you're going to keep beating us with the run, I'm going to bring 6 late on the run blitz, and this is how you come through the alley. If you're a defensive guy, you just say, okay, I'm flying through there. I see nothing but one in me, and I'm going to take him down. Good job by Trill Williams.
Loss of 3 on first down for Liberty. Willis to throw, had to step up. Sets his feet and finds Demario Douglas, who loses the football, and Syracuse unable to recover it inbounds. Oh, there was a possession to be taken there, and Hannah unable to scoop it cleanly.
Release the field, forward fumble, out of bounds. So we'll return to the fumbling spot, 3rd down.
Willis gets moves and evades, and Demario Douglas with the ball takes and the ball, he just loses it. Syracuse has an opportunity and can't bring it in. Rob Hannah right there, not able to bring that. That would have been the 3rd turnover today for Liberty.
A microcosm of the struggles. That little split second there. 3rd down, and it's complete to move the chains. DJ Stubbs doing a little dancing out there and gets shoved out of bounds violently, but a first down gain to the 42-yard line.
DJ Stubbs is always going to make one or two people miss because of the things that he'll do when he gets the ball afterwards. Watch it. He's just like, okay, I got to find a way to get by you. Anytime you watch him on film, this is what the 5'8", 5'9", 185-pound senior out of Jacksonville, Florida, he's always trying to make someone miss. Liberty now starting to use that clock against Syracuse. They don't have to rush. Remember, they had tempo earlier.
Right.
Now they're just saying, hey, look, we're going to take our time and keep methodically marching down the field.
Take an extra 10, 20 seconds off the clock. Shorten the game with a double-digit lead. Lewis brought down that time by Curtis Harper.
You're not seeing on this drive and the last drive as much of a push by this offensive line. You're starting to see now blue jerseys with other side of the line and getting in there and making some plays, negative plays, which we didn't see much of in the first half.
2nd and 9 after the pickup of just the one. Liberty trying to get to 5-0 for the first time since 2008. Long before they were in the bowl subdivision. Nice throw by Willis, finding the pocket against the zone was C.J. Daniels. Another nice chunk in between Williams and Carter for the first down.
Talk about this line keeping you clean. 4 rushers and everyone picked up. Given plenty of time to Willis. You have Chris Baird running the underneath and then over the top. Really nice setup and design on that play.
When Malik Willis sets his feet, he can really sling it.
He really can. He steps into it, throws it effectively.
Play action, pressure coming, and good coverage, but completed anyway to Daniels. Garrett Williams was in his back pocket. Daniels made the catch under pressure.
Daniels fought and took that one away. And part of what Malik has to work on and consistently, what Hugh Freeze says, is just fundamentals and technique. Right here, he sets his feet, throws it with authority. You know he has a strong arm, but he doesn't always put it on with accuracy. Daniels with a nice catch, though.
9-yard gain. Willis doesn't really put that mouth guard all the way in. Just kind of the Steph Curry free throw look right there. Up the middle, Peyton Pickett, touchdown Liberty. 16-yard burst up the middle. The Flames are pouring it on here in the Dome.
You could see that one coming, Evan. Pickett, what does he do? One step and go. He's not a guy that's going to do a whole lot of dancing. 5'8", 220 senior out of Arlington, Texas. But when he decides to go downhill and turn those shoulders, not a whole lot you're going to do to stop him.
Liberty into the CPI red zone, and they score immediately. 16-yard sprint from Pickett. Another extra point sent through by Barbier, and it's 35-14 Liberty. In what many build is the biggest game in Flames program history. Not over yet, but they're on track.
They have double tight over there in a flank position, and they're blocking. Everyone on that side of the line of scrimmage has come off with authority. And watch Pickett. See, you have everyone blocked up. No blue jerseys that you can think of. And then when he sees the hole, see that one cut and go? Everyone is all locked up, and he knows on the backside, I don't need to cut back way back. I just cut back enough where my hole opens up. With those, because when you go flank, it forces you to overload to the side, meaning you have 2 tight ends, one on the line, one flanked, and that's where the defense is trying to take you away. If you're a running back with patience, which Pickett was, he says, I'm going to start there, and when I decide to make that cut, no one will be there, and I'll get to the house.
Charles, that rush took Liberty over 300 yards rushing in the ball game. 32 carries for 307 yards, an average of 9.6 per carry.
Yeah, I think if you know you can run the football and you don't have to worry about any defensive guys making any stops, you just keep doing it.
This is Mackenzie Pierre getting an opportunity on special teams. Taken out of bounds near the 30-yard line. That's where Rex Culpepper, with a 3-touchdown deficit, will take over. ACC football is presented by CPI Security. Doubleheader Saturday from the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. Don't forget, coming up at 3:30, Tom James and Lindsay from Raleigh, North Carolina. Two teams coming off big wins last week, Duke and NC State.
That ought to be a good one as well.
Culpepper's throw tipped at the line of scrimmage. Elijah James got a hand on it.
Defensive linemen know if I can't get there, I'm going to wave my hands in the air and knock the ball like I just don't care. It was a nice knockdown by Elijah James. He just kind of looked at Rex Culpepper's eyes.
You can start to see the confidence exuding from Liberty's body language right now.
Yeah, and they're not playing in the sense of, hey, we know we have this victory won, but they're playing with the sense of we can close this out.
Tucker picks up 4.
On offense, Syracuse is having to work so much harder than Liberty. I mean, it's just one of those things where they have to work so hard on every possession. And this defense knows it, and they're putting them in a position where it's just harder for them to get any yards.
Tucker on 3rd down and 6 picks up enough to move the chains.
I will say this for the freshman. I have liked Tucker on film, and I like him even watching him today. He's a tough kid, running inside, has had some injuries, but has just fought through them.
2 minutes to go in the 3rd. Culpepper wants it. Down the sideline, Harris, and he dropped it. Dino Babers walking away from the play in frustration.
They've had this opportunity multiple times, and that was no better time. If he catches that, he's going in for 6. The Liberty defenders cannot stay with them stride for stride. That time is Chris Megason, and all he has to do is secure it for a big gain and potentially a touchdown. Taj has to come up with that one.
That hurts the entire team, obviously, because of the drop. But when you see a guy like Harris make that mistake, that really stings. Lutz just past the line of scrimmage, maybe gains 1. James and Pierre combined to bring him down.
Well, and then you also put yourself in 3rd and long now, where they've not been in a situation where they've been able to capitalize or have much success on 3rd down.
And that hasn't just been today. That's been an issue all season long. They're 16 of 72 on 3rd downs on the year, 3 of 12 today. 3rd and 9. Culpepper running out of time. Aaron Pierre gets home for the Liberty defense, bringing down Culpepper for the sack.
This is where the sacks come into play, because you have to hold the ball so much longer. You know your defensive backs are going to do their job. This defensive front gets off the ball, and they know, let's get to the quarterback. Multiple guys getting there, with Pierre getting the final touch.
Hey, there's a lot of lenses through which to view what's happening here, but Liberty has been impressive. The defense, especially in the second half.
I'm going to say this, watching them on tape, the offensive line stood out to me right away.
Yeah. That
was the one thing that I just said, oh, okay, I can see that. But they are just a team that they believe in themselves too. That's the other thing. They're winning, and when you get on a roll, you start believing, okay, we're in a position where we feel comfortable. We know what we can do. And now we've done it against a conference that we haven't been able to. But I think they just start looking like, hey, we're playing whoever we play, and really playing effectively.
Punt one out of bounds at the 8-yard line. See if Liberty can try to just slow this down and run some clock here. I imagine we're going to see some running plays here, Charles.
I think you're accurate.
It's Lewis. And a good gain on first down out across the 15-yard line to the 16. Koba makes the stop after a pickup of 7 and what will likely be the final play of the third. Hugh Freeze's team 15 minutes away from a historic victory against an ACC opponent on the road, and the official making the signal to wind the clock despite the injured player for the Orange. 35-14, unbeaten Liberty. 1 quarter away.
What we're going to do is try to almost go on the 4-minute offense and use as much clock. It's going to be tough.
Lewis, 10 for 178 before that carry, picks up a few. And it will be 3rd down and 1. If the Orange are going to have any chance, this is a must-stop right here.
They line up and flank again, put those 2 tight ends to the boundary, and just try to overpower you with this offensive line. Can't say enough about how well these guys have played.
2 tight ends to the right side of the line, Jackson and Bollinger. It's Pickett up the middle, and he's hit near the line of scrimmage, and this is going to be very close. By the initial spot, he's got the first down. Yes, indeed.
This is basically for Liberty, this is just inside run, 9 on 7, where you say we're going to line up. And Syracuse, you haven't stopped us pretty much all day with the run game. Can you do it now?
Taking time off the clock. Little flip pass, short to Douglas. Got to hang on to the ball, and he does, and he gets ripped to the ground. Lee Koba with a suplex.
Lee Koba got him in his sights. DeMario Douglas thought he had him evaded, and he said, I'm going to, no, I got you. Okay, let's go. And all my friends are going to join me here. Really good play by Koba of staying with it, and Douglas of not losing the football.
Feeling good about himself after that. That's a heck of a mouth guard, right?
A spinner mouth guard. Not the kind that you see on the road, but out of the mouthpiece. I like it.
The hubcap
yeah, the
on the mouth guard.
Trues and vogues.
Taking the play clock down to 1. Well done by Willis. But he's hitting the backfield and drilled by Koba again. Lee is flying around right now.
He says, I got the spinners working, and I'm coming after you. Yeah, I am. And I like this, because Lee is basically saying, look, y'all might be beating us, but I'm going to show you how I do it.
3rd and 15. Koba out of Parkland High School in Winston-Salem. Mostly special teams last year after he was named the USA Today North Carolina Defensive Player of the Year as a high school senior in 2018. And letting the play clock wind down. Pressure coming. Short pass. Lewis missed a tackle. Lewis brought down shy of the first. Josh Black staying with it. Prevents him from running free all the way to glory.
Yeah, because the way Lewis has run the day, you got to get him down initially. They get this out.
You miss him once, you might not get him again.
Exactly. Even his offensive linemen are pushing him. Hey, let's go. Tristan Schultz right there trying to get him going, 68. The really nice job by Josh Black of turning and peeling and going down to get Shedro Lewis. It's a good stop for Syracuse defensively.
The previous play is under further review.
Interesting. Perhaps he was down earlier, an elbow or a...
They got him down. Are they looking at the spot of where he went down?
They spot it right around the 25. May have been a half yard shy. I'm wondering. Oh, perhaps a targeting call.
I would say if they're targeting review, it doesn't look like it to me. I don't think they're going to call out.
After further review, the previous play stands as called.
There are no fans here for him to make that announcement. For our sake, it would have been nice if you said we're reviewing the play for targeting.
Because I didn't see it initially. I just thought, are they looking at the spot? But they look at that every play, and they can go back and look at to see if there is targeting.
So now they'll roll the clock with a 25-second play clock, and got to imagine Liberty's going to take their time here to let the clock continue to tick. You know, Liberty and Clemson, only schools in the nation that returned a 3,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver a year ago. This year it was Liberty, LSU, and Oklahoma that lost a 3,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver. And yet the Flames, despite losing, Syracuse has been one of the pesky thorns in Clemson's side over the past several seasons. They were the last ACC team to beat them. Taj Harris across the middle.
I don't think Dabo's going to take that one lightly. But looking at that Duke-NC State game, I can remember years ago, Russell Wilson facing off and Thad Lewis going back and forth. So I've seen some really good Duke-North Carolina State games in the past.
Sean Tucker to midfield. Brought down by Trayshawn Clark. Yeah, the Atlantic Division of the ACC is 1-30 against Clemson since 2015. Syracuse has that lone win against the Tigers in the last 5 years. Complete to Harris. He's pushed out of bounds by Meganson. Clemson hangs on today. They're up by 50-something last I checked. It's going to be their 34th consecutive ACC regular season win.
Really understanding how to dominate your opponent. And they do it about as well as anybody in the conference.
And the country.
Yeah. And you got to think a team like North Carolina, Notre Dame this year, since they are in the conference, there's some other folks vying for that opportunity to knock them off the perch.
Carolina avoids Clemson in the regular season, but there could be a matchup in Charlotte in December, the ACC championship game. North Carolina's going to have some tough tests before that. It's Notre Dame and Miami. Complete to the outside for Quealy. Syracuse trying to move quickly here, down under 10 minutes. I got to say, I've been a little skeptical of North Carolina in terms of how good they were. But the offense last week, albeit against a depleted Virginia Tech team, the way they ran all over the Hokies, I was impressed.
Their defense has to improve, but they can score points on offense, and I agree with you. That's what you have to do if you play Clemson. You know Clemson's going to score. You've got to match some of those scores if you're going to play them. And
Clemson, while they've been great, does have some youth on the defense, and you saw it last week.
I think their linebacking crew is working into themselves, and their defensive front, they've got some really young players, highly talented, but still one of those things where you want to see how that shakes itself out over the course of the season.
Culpepper barking out the play. Fakes the give to Tucker. Looking for the end zone. Quealy, he's got it. Touchdown, Syracuse. 21-yard strike from Culpepper.
Evans, this offense can score. That's the one thing they can do, and they can score quickly. That time, they had opened it up and said, look, we're going to let you find open receivers, march down the field. Liberty cannot relax because this Syracuse team can score. I think that's what Dino and Sterling Gilbert have been looking for all day out of the receivers to work with Rex Culpepper. Nice drive.
7 plays, 65 yards, in just over 2 minutes. Brings Syracuse back within 2 touchdowns with 8:45 to go. Third touchdown pass of the day for Rex Culpepper. This guy's a battler. Don't count him out just yet. And they are going to try an onside kick, and it's recovered by Liberty. Nicely done there, scooped up by Liberty's Brody Brum.
Evan, I don't like that right there. I think still you have an opportunity, kick it deep and play your defense.
And now a quick message from Works Landroid.
Works Landroid robotic lawnmower. Enter to win at winalandroid.com. The future of lawn care is here.
You can't give this Liberty team such a short field, in my opinion. That's why I thought kick this thing deep, even squib it, but you give yourself a much shorter opportunity where Liberty's offense has not played as well on those last few possessions.
313 yards so far. Oh, well, 311 yards now as they force the loss of a couple. Michael Jones in the backfield there.
Where has this defense been?
Syracuse takes a timeout.
Timeout. Syracuse. Full media timeout.
Dino Babers stops the clock. That's his second timeout. He's got just one left. 2nd and 12 when we return.
Put it wide open with that run and started the momentum of this run game for Liberty. Another long hitter. 2 guys in position, but no one can stop him until he gets to the end zone.
Breakaway speed to the sophomore from Florida. Enrolled early at Liberty after graduating early December 2018.
Immokalee, same hometown as Edwin James.
There's a lot of talent down there.
Yeah, they do. Muck City.
2nd and 12. Willis gonna throw it, and he's got a wide open man. Goodness, Johnny Huntley was uncovered.
This was a really nice route design because you're worried about Shedro Lewis, and Huntley just sneaks out in the same area. Everybody's worried about number 1, and they forget about number 0.
Second catch of the day for Huntley.
He's going to sneak over there, and you're going to see before this, Shedro Lewis works himself out, so it takes everybody out of that picture because they're so concerned with it. Huntley just gets caught in that little area. Nice throw by Malik Willis to him.
By far the longest catch of the year for Huntley, 28 yards. And Liberty lets the play clock wind all the way down, and Willis gets to the edge, takes it inside the 10.
The patience of Willis and the ball handling skills open this play up because he's holding it for so long, and Lewis, who has run effectively in the middle, and then when he sees the defense suck completely down, he's outside. Talk about ball handling skills. Look at this, how he waits all the way till he's by him. He lets him go, and the defense thinks, oh, Lewis has the ball. No, he doesn't.
And it's tough to tell Jeff Catton-Arku to play that a whole lot differently other than just get faster, kid. he was there and just got beat around the edge. Here's Pickett up the middle. Spun down after a couple.
You got the thunder and lightning. Pickett is just one cut and go. Very compact. Shedro Lewis today has been the speed of that. Hits you with quickness.
Nearly 700 yards rushing allowed in the last 2 weeks.
And it's
they got Travis Etienne next week.
And it's not a situation when you watch them that they're not trying. Sometimes it's schematic, sometimes it's just guys not in position. But also today, it's been guys moving you out of position and not allowing you to do what you want to do.
2nd down and goal from the 8.
Young running backs, if you're watching at home, this is what I talk about with patience. And it's not the kind that Le'Veon Bell, because it's a whole nother level. But this right here is what sets up great runs. He gets to the line of scrimmage and knows, okay, if my line does what it has to do, I'm going to be able to go right or left. And when he hits left, he gets it and hits downfield. A lot of times you see young running backs just run full speed into the back of their lineman. That time, Pickett shows you a textbook example of patience as a running back.
got to think if Liberty's short here, the field goal unit comes on to make it a 3-possession, 17-point game. They've got a third down play here. Pickett up the middle, near the goal line, but stopped short. Jeff Canton, our coup.
Big offensive lineman now. Could have been called for holding there.
Timeout. Syracuse, their third and final timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
68 is just mauling his defender. But at the same time, there's so much of a push and not enough forward movement by the blue jerseys.
These classic Syracuse blue jerseys. Orange next week go down to Death Valley for a noon kickoff with the Clemson Tigers. Clemson mauling Georgia Tech today, and then 2 more home games. Wake Forest, Deacons home against Virginia today, and Boston College. Eagles are at Virginia Tech tonight. Oh, that wild finish last week. BC and Pittsburgh. Alex Kessman for Pitt hits a 58-yarder to close regulation and tie, and then missed the extra point in overtime. Excruciating loss and an exhilarating win for BC.
I don't know how Trill Williams missed this block. He gets through clean. Watch number 6. He's going to come through, and I thought for sure he has the block. He's there. He just misses it. Runs right by it. Can't get that left hand or that right hand on the football. He was in there, just couldn't get to it.
20-yard field goal for Alex Barbier. First field goal of the day, makes it 38-21. What a difference a year makes. 59 weeks to be exact since Syracuse won in Lynchburg 24-zip. A game in which Liberty ran the ball for negative 4 yards over the course of the 4 quarters. Today, the Flames closing in on 400 yards rushing. And lead by 17 with 5:20 remaining. From the 7. Decent return from Trevor Pena. Syracuse needs to move quickly here.
Yeah, they have to strike quickly, and you also have to look at Liberty from the standpoint of starting to get some votes in different places and people starting to pay attention to the Flames. For Syracuse, your offense has to go quickly and effectively, and then I think you start looking at onside kicking the football if you get some quick scores.
This is the first of 3 ACC opponents for Liberty. They also have games at Virginia Tech on November 7th and at NC State on the 21st. Culpepper, deep throw, Quealy. And the flags fly. Quealy earned that penalty by trying to jump over Emmanuel Dabney.
Dabney never turned around to go play on the ball. Quealy with the veteran move right there.
Pass interference defense, number 2. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Culpepper doesn't quite get all of it on there, but Dabney doesn't turn around. Quealy is able to just go up over the top of him, and like you said, get a pass interference penalty.
Unlike the National Football League, where that would be a 45, 50-yard penalty, just 15. Culpepper, flat-footed, airmails one looking for Harris.
A couple of times today, the ball has come out a little funny out of his hands.
Well, we kind of expected that we might see one of the Syracuse freshman quarterbacks, either Dylan Markowitz from McKinney, Texas, or Jacobian Morgan from Canton, Mississippi. 2 guys that are tall. Dylan 6'5", Jacobian 6'4", and right now Rex is the only quarterback with any experience on the team, so we thought we might see Dino just give someone else a chance. So far it's been all Rex Culpepper. Over 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns for Rex, but nothing doing there, and it will be 3rd down and 10.
But he hadn't really given a bad account of himself either, Evan. I think there's been some drops. There's been some other plays where guys haven't made plays for him.
No question.
You know, and I think Dino said that coming out of halftime. Hey, you know, everybody's got to play, and I think that's been the part for them to look at this and give him a fair chance at the position.
Culpepper rifles one down the middle, incomplete. Courtney Jackson unable to haul it in.
Initially, I thought Courtney Jackson was going to be able to get across the field and make that catch.
He was open.
Yeah, Culpepper threw it in the spot where he knew he was going to be. The two of those guys couldn't connect.
4th down and 10. Orange 2 of 3 on 3rd down today. Liberty defense rushes 4, and Culpepper's pass is incomplete. The Flames will take over on downs with 4:46 to play.
And when people look at this and they see the score, they're going to think this was not a fluke. This was a win by a football team that, watching tape, and I'm sure the Syracuse team watched the same tape, you got to keep your team together. Now, that's the part that happens when you're struggling to win and find ways to win football games. Dino and his staff have to keep guys together because next week is not going to be easy, and the weeks after that are only going to get harder.
Certainly 2 programs trending in different directions right now. Liberty on the verge of improving to 5-0 for their first time as an FBS program. Now, we'll see what happens next week. Liberty's scheduled to take on the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss next week, but Southern Miss had their game today postponed. Supposed to play UTEP, but there was an increase in COVID cases at Southern Miss. So there's some uncertainty, obviously, about next week. If by some chance they didn't play next week, then the next game, unless they scheduled one for October 31st, would be at Virginia Tech. November 7th, Lane Stadium, Blacksburg. Don't forget Duke NC State coming up at 3:30. Charles, I'm really excited for this Duke NC State game.
I am too.
The Wolfpack look like a team that could be pretty special. And they've already got 3 ACC wins. They beat Wake in a high-scoring shootout. And then they got Pittsburgh and Virginia the past couple of weeks.
Well, a few weeks ago, we watched them together after our Boston College game, and I wasn't sure how they were going to play.
Against a shorthanded Virginia Tech team,
yeah.
They struggled.
And then they have just really come on in the last few weeks.
Devin Leary is sharp. They've got an active defense.
I love calling games there, too. I like that stadium. It's you know, you get to different venues in the ACC, and I've always thought North Carolina State should be a better program and consistently winning, and you're starting to see Dave Doran try to get that thing turned around.
Liberty letting the clock wind down. It's 3rd and 4, and Hugh Freeze takes a timeout.
Timeout, Liberty, their first timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
We haven't seen Malik Willis try to do too much today, but you look at the stat line, he's 16 for 20 for $182 and 1 TD, and this is after last week when he was 11 for 29.
I think he was a little rusty too coming back from that elbow injury, but he looked much more comfortable with the offense today, and he really hadn't had to make a lot of throws. If you think about it, he's been able to just kind of pick his poison and find different open receivers. The run game they've relied on, and he hadn't had to do a whole lot in that. The load has been handled mainly by Shedro Lewis and Peyton Pickett.
After that 11 of 29 performance coming off the injury, he said he was watching film of himself, and he just kind of said to himself, come on, Malik, what you doing, man? You got to hit that. He said, you can hit that 10 out of 10. This is Malik Willis talking to himself. Bulldozing run. He gets close to the marker, but he's going to be a yard shy.
talk about positive self-talk. Sometimes you got to have a come to Jesus meeting with yourself. And it seemed like that's, you know, but sometimes you do that as a player. You know, you don't get down on yourself. You just say, hey, I know I can play better than what I did.
4th down and 1.
And I bet you this week in practice, he honed in even more, because that's one area where Hugh Freeze says, I need you to be more consistent. I need you to hone in and practice and become a better practice player as well.
Liberty converted on 4th down earlier in the ball game. Back inside their own 30. On the other side of the field, Willis puts the game away, endures the hit by Koba. That'll leave a mark. And Willis a little slow to get up, but the first down for the Flames virtually ends the ball game. And Liberty is going to be 5-0 with their first ever victory over an ACC opponent. And it's going to come here at the Dome.
And they've got some other opportunities for a couple of more ACC wins this year. And the way this team is playing, the way they're running the football, these guys are believing in Hugh, and he's believing in them. He made the right decision to leave the AAF, by the way. I should have went with it. I'll tell you this, Dino and his staff are not going to stop working hard. I've known Dino Babers a long time, and I can only imagine that this program is not going to just say we're going to accept this. I know they have a tough task next week, but you got to figure out ways. You got to find ways. This is when your coaching and leadership come into play when you're not playing well.
Liberty became the 130th fully certified FBS team in the nation. They went to a bowl game in year 2. They're going to knock off a Power 5 program on the road in year 3. Jonathan Bennett, 3rd-string quarterback, is out there to take these kneel downs, as the Orange are going to fall to 1-4. First time they've lost 4 of their first 5 games since 2008. And it's the first time that Liberty was 5-0 since 2008. Of course, that was when they were in the Big South, when Liberty and Coastal Carolina jostled for position at the top of that league. Liberty and Coastal now 2 of the undefeated teams in the country in FBS. They've got an enticing game scheduled in Conway at Brooks Stadium on December 5th.
Well, I think when you look at this, it's a situation where both of these coaches have a healthy respect for each other. They know each other well. And I think the biggest thing is just the big thing with now is that you usually see guys come together at the end. But I think the big thing is you're saying, let's make sure we all stay safe and get to the next week, because we've seen postponements, we've seen cancellations because of the celebration after. Or one team may have an outbreak and the other team has that as well.
38-21 is the final. Liberty over Syracuse. A game where Liberty dictated the pace and tempo with their running game and physicality from the opening kickoff.
Yeah, right away they just went and said, we know what we do best, and our team is designed and set that way, and this is what we're going to do. And they didn't look back from the very beginning. And I saw it on tape, but I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to do that again against a Syracuse team who I thought was going to play much better on the defensive front. Liberty just took it to them from start to finish.
Some solemn looks on the faces of the Syracuse Orange football team as they fall at home to Liberty, and the victorious head coach Hugh Freeze standing by with Abby Lamar.